Welcome back to Elevation Perspective. My name is Mark. Today we're going to break down round 2 of the Major League Baseball playoffs, the Division Series round. I nailed my predictions of the wild card round, picking all 4 of Tigers, Yankees, Dodgers, and Cubs to advance. I think this round looks a lot harder to predict on the surface, and that's a great thing. Our 4 divisional series matchups: first in the National League, we have the Dodgers and the Phillies, and the Cubs and the Brewers. In the American League, we have the Yankees and Blue Jays, and the Tigers and Mariners. I'm not sure how excited the common baseball fan is for Mariners and Tigers, but these other 3 matchups are really prime-time, best-case scenario for baseball. I think the only unfortunate part of the National League is Dodgers-Phillies is best of 5 and not best of 7. Many people have predicted the winner of this Dodgers-Phillies series will go on to win the whole World Series. But let's start right there with the preview of this Dodgers-Phillies series. The Dodgers embarrassed the Reds as expected and beat them down in 2 quick games to get here. They used Snell and Yamamoto in the wild card round, setting up Ohtani to get Game 1 in Philadelphia. For the Phillies, it will be the likely Cy Young runner-up, Christopher Sanchez. After Game 1, the Dodgers will go right back to Snell and Yamamoto in Games 2 and 3. They also have Tyler Glasnow, who is a top pitcher in our game and didn't factor in at all in the plans for the Red Series. I think you would want to stick with Snell and Yamamoto for Game 2 and 3, then you'll deploy Glasnow to possible Game 4 if necessary. But it is a little bit risky to have a guy like Glasnow on ice essentially for a week and a half. A tall, lengthy guy who loses his mechanics relatively often and the strike zone sometimes, you definitely want to keep those kind of guys sharp and on the same routine. I think on the Phillies side of things, after Christopher Sanchez, you immediately feel the catastrophic loss of this team's ace, Zach Wheeler. I really like Jesus Luzardo. He has awesome stuff and big velocity from the left side. Then you got Ranger Suarez, who's more of a finesse pitch-to-weak contact kind of guy. And Aaron Nola, who has been pretty terrible in 2025. I think the one big thing Philly has going here besides home field advantage is the likely 1-2-3 starters in Sanchez, Luzardo, and Suarez are all lefties. It at least gives you the possibility of neutralizing those big Dodger lefty bats like Ohtani, Freeman, and Muncy. In doing so, though, you are giving the platoon advantage to Mookie Betts, Teoscar Hernandez, and Will Smith if he can play. But I think overall you prefer to attack this Dodgers team with left-handed pitching. On the Phillies' offensive side of things, they remain pretty top-heavy. You have your big guys at the top with Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, and Kyle Schwarber. Then there's a lot of lesser players backing them up. I think the bullpens are pretty comparable, but I will lean Phillies here. They have the clear difference maker at both teams in Joan Duran. Orion Kerkering, Matt Strahm, and David Robertson are fine behind him, but not exceptional. The Dodgers bullpen is very weird to me because they have a lot of guys with really good stuff that you would expect to get outs, but it's just not been going that way. Tanner Scott has been a complete disaster, Blake Treinen has been terrible, and Vesia has been okay at times, but not spectacular. The Dodgers have some X-factors here, though, in Roki Sasaki, who looked great in his limited bullpen work. The fastball played up big time, and the splitter looked absolutely nasty. I also really like Emmett Sheehan as well. I know he struggled in that game against the Reds, but I feel like he has really good stuff. The problem, though, with Roki Sasaki and Emmett Sheehan being 2 converted starting pitchers, being your best relievers, means you don't know how often they're going to be available throughout the series. Both of these pitchers are huge parts of the Dodgers' future. I don't see any chance where they risk their long-term status for this series. Now, who do I think wins this series? I'm going to say the Dodgers win this series. I think the Dodgers have a clear advantage here in the lineup, a modest advantage in the rotation, and a slight disadvantage in the bullpen. The big factor for me here is the lineup depth. After you get past the Dodgers' big 3 stars, you're still looking at Teoscar Hernandez, Max Muncy, Will Smith, Andy Pages. The lineup just goes on forever. In Philly, after their big 3 stars, you're looking at Alec Boehm, JT Realmuto, and Brandon Marsh. It's not in the same stratosphere. I think the length of the Dodgers lineup will prove to be too much for the Phillies pitching. And I think I'm just kind of over this group in Philly. It's been the same core that's had a lot of success and a lot of deep runs, but they haven't been able to get it done. And I think this is finally the offseason that causes change. It gets to a point where you just can't keep running out the same group expecting different results. Our second National League matchup is a battle of the National League Central. We have the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Chicago Cubs. The Brewers get another chance here to prove they're not just a regular season team after another great season. In terms of pitching, the Brewers are definitely in a better position here. They're lined up with their ace, Freddie Peralta, at home in Game 1. The Cubs Game 1, they're going with Matt Boyd on 3 days rest. With Cade Horton hurt for the Cubs and Brandon Woodruff hurt for the Brewers, I feel like after Game 1, the pitching is pretty much a toss-up. The Cubs will throw out some combination of Shoto Amanaga, Jameson Taillon, and Colin Ray. The Brewers will counter with Quinn Priester, Jose Quintana, and possibly Jacob Mizorowski. The Brewers have a pretty clear starting pitcher advantage to me. I think they also have a nice advantage in the bullpen as well. But I think the Cubs do have a much better lineup. I'm going to pick the Cubs here. It won't be easy heading on the road to face a well-rested Freddie Peralta in Game 1, but I think they have the lineup to answer that challenge with just enough pitching to squeak by to the next round. I just can't back the Brewers in the playoffs with what we've seen over the last handful of years. Over in the American League now, first up we have the Mariners taking on the Tigers. I have a really hard time seeing the Mariners not advancing here. I think it was a cool story to see the Tigers knock out Cleveland after the massive collapse to end their season, but I feel like their journey ends here. Tigers are going with Troy Melton Game 1 versus George Kirby. It's kind of weird to me how the Mariners are choosing to stack up their arms here with Kirby Game 1, Luis Castillo Game 2, and then probably Logan Gilbert Game 3. They are without Brian Wu with that pectoral issue, but to me, I would have preferred to put Logan Gilbert in Game 1 instead of George Kirby. The Tigers will have Skubal pitch Game 2 and a possible Game 5 if it gets there. So in theory, if they could steal a game in a non-Skubal start from a Melton, a Mize, or a Flaherty, they could have a shot, but I think relying on Skubal to dominate and win the game every single time it's his turn to pitch is unfair and unsustainable, even if it is Tarek Skubal, the game's best pitcher. The Mariners have a massive lineup advantage here. 60-homer catcher in Cal Raleigh, a 49-homer third baseman Eugenio Suarez, Julio Rodriguez, Renny Rosarena, Josh Naylor, Jorge Polanco. They just have a lot of dudes in this lineup. The Tigers still kind of only have Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter here in terms of bats you're actually afraid of. The Mariners have a much better rotation, and they have a better bullpen anchored by Andres Munoz, the closer, as well. With home field advantage and seemingly matching up better in every single category, I gotta take the Mariners here to advance. Our second American League matchup here, another battle here in the American League East, this one between the Yankees and the Blue Jays, the two teams who tied for the AL East with 94 wins apiece. The Jays, of course, though, were credited with that division title, owning the season tiebreaker. This is a tough series to call. I think the loss of Bo Bichette for Toronto is devastating for this team. Arguably this team's best pure hitter, he's the guy you look at in the playoffs with that .311 batting average and trust against the toughest of pitching that the playoffs throw at you. He's got this bad knee problem. I thought they were going to try to DH him, but it must be really bad if he's not even trying to hit. I think the Yankees are riding really high after being the first team to win the Wild Card Series after losing Game 1 to Boston. I think the Yankees are definitely the better team here with a sizable amount of superior talent on the roster, but the Blue Jays' main shot here is they have home field advantage and Game 1. Game 1 for the Yankees is Luis Gil after they threw their big three arms versus the Red Sox. Kevin Gausman gets the ball for the Blue Jays, and I give them a pretty clear advantage here in Game 1. After Game 1, though, I feel like the Yankees should have the edge going into pretty much every game going forward. It'll go back to Fried, Rodon, and Schlittler. The Blue Jays will counter with Trey Savage Game 2 and Shane Bieber in the Bronx for Game 3. I like the Yankees' rotation a little bit more here. I like the Yankees' bullpen a lot more here, even with their recent struggles and shakiness. And I like the Yankees' lineup a lot more here as well. For all of those reasons, I have to pick the Yankees to beat the Blue Jays and move on to the championship series. And that's the preview and predictions for the division series. To recap, I'm going with the Dodgers over the Phillies, the Cubs over the Brewers, the Mariners over the Tigers, and the Yankees over the Blue Jays. We will come back next week to preview the championship series. If you like this video, please hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.